My uncle grabbed me at my father's funeral and said, "Don't let her leave. She's the one who killed him." The room went silent, and every face turned toward me with the same look of suspicion and disgust. My father's wife Charlotte was sitting in the corner dabbing her eyes with a tissue, and when she looked up at me, she shook her head like she couldn't believe I had the nerve to show up. Everyone knew I never accepted my father's new marriage, that I thought he moved on too fast, that I told him Charlotte was wrong for him. Now my father was dead from some sudden illness that came out of nowhere, and apparently that made me the prime suspect. My aunt spoke first. "Why were you alone with him the night before he died?" I tried to explain that I just came by to talk, that we were trying to fix things between us, but she cut me off. Awfully convenient timing for a reconciliation. My cousin stepped forward and said, "I heard you two arguing in the kitchen that night, yelling about money and the house and what happens when he's gone. That wasn't even close to what happened. But when I opened my mouth to say so, my uncle stepped in front of me. Shut up and stop making things worse." My grandmother walked over slowly, and for a second I thought she was coming to defend me. She was the one who taught me how to ride a bike. She used to sneak me candy when my parents weren't looking and tell me I was her favorite grandchild. She stopped right in front of me and looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I always knew there was something wrong with you." Charlotte finally stood up from her chair and walked toward me with tears streaming down her face. "I didn't want to say anything because I know how it looks," she said, gripping my uncle's arm for support. "But last month you came to me asking about the will, asking whether the house goes to me or to you." I stepped toward her. "You're a liar. I never said anything like that to you. You're the one who convinced my father to cut me out of his life in the first place." My uncle slapped me across the face. "Don't you dare speak to her that way." I could taste blood in my mouth. Charlotte kept going, her voice shaking like she could barely get the words out. I didn't want to believe it either. I kept telling myself there had to be another explanation, but then I found the search history on your old laptop. She paused and put her hand over her mouth like she was going to be sick. She looked up how long it takes for antifreeze to kill someone. I heard gasps around the room, and my legs almost gave out. I tried to say it wasn't true, but my voice wouldn't work. My younger brother finally looked up from the floor and said, "You told me once that you wish Dad never met her. You said things would be better if it was just us again." He wouldn't even look at me when he said it. I looked at my own mother standing by the window. "Mom, do you really believe I could do something like this?" She just stared at me and said, "I don't know who you are anymore." My uncle grabbed my arm and started dragging me toward the front door. People stepped aside to make a path like I was contagious. Someone yelled, "Call the police!" Someone else spit on the floor as I walked past. Charlotte was sobbing into my aunt's shoulder, and every single person in this room had known me my entire life, but not one of them would look me in the eye. I was 10 feet from the door when it opened, and a woman none of us recognized walked in. She scanned the room until her eyes landed on Charlotte, then walked straight toward her without a word to anyone else. "I knew I'd find you here," she said. Charlotte's face went white. "Who are you?" The woman turned to the room. Did her husband get sick out of nowhere? Healthy man, dead in weeks, doctors couldn't explain it? My aunt nodded slowly. The woman looked back at Charlotte. "That's exactly how my father died 4 years ago, 8 months after he married you." Charlotte started backing away. "I've never been married before. I don't know who you are. This is insane." The woman took another step forward. "Then why do you look like you've seen a ghost?" Charlotte's voice cracked. "I had nothing to do with what happened to your father." The woman went very still. "I never said anything happened to him. I said he got sick." Charlotte's mouth opened, but nothing came out. She looked around the room for someone to help her, but my uncle had already let go of my arm, and everyone was staring at her now. The woman's voice dropped. "Unless you already knew what you did to him." Charlotte tried to run for the door, but nobody in that room was going to let her leave.